Have you ever been the one person in your family who's always the problem? No matter what you do, let me know in the comments. Because you're not alone. The Lake Tahoe mansion smells like pine and money. But all I can smell is the lie I've been living for 8 months. I'm standing in the great room, my fingers gripping a perfectly wrapped gift box, staring at its contents. Inside, a membership card to an exclusive dating app for women whose biological clocks are supposedly ticking too loud. A cruel joke. My sister Taylor's idea of a thoughtful holiday present. The fire roars in the marble hearth. But the chill in this room has nothing to do with the snow falling in thick. Silent sheets outside the floor to ceiling windows. Taylor giggles. A sound like shattering glass. I saw it on an influencer trip, she says, her voice dripping with fake concern. The reviews are amazing for women who need a little extra help. I don't look up. I just stare at the box. At the audacity. Take it. Dear. My mother, Kimberly, chimes in from her throne of an armchair. Taylor is just worried about you. My father, Mark, says nothing. Just swirls the amber liquid in his crystal glass. Avoiding my eyes. His business partner, Kevin Dalton, and his son, Brandon Taylor's fiancé, suddenly find the abstract art on the wall intensely fascinating. Even the wedding planner, Jessica, looks uncomfortable. I close the box. My hands steady, even though my insides feel like they're splintering. This time, I'm not going to run. I'm not going to retreat to my car and drive back to the airport. Back to my real life. Back to my husband. Dylan. 8 months. It's been 8 months of silence. 8 months since they ignored my wedding. At dinner, the crystal and silver gleam under the massive chandelier. My mother taps her glass for a toast. To this special season, she announces, her voice pitched for performance. To my wonderful daughter, Taylor, and her upcoming wedding, a modern royal event. She turns her gaze on me. A hunter, spotting its prey. Taylor has always known how to do things with grace. With consideration for family. The words are a slap. But what about you? Madison, she asks, her voice dripping with pity. When is it your turn? The table goes silent. Every eye is on me. Taylor leans forward. Her perfectly sculpted face, arranged into a mask of sisterly concern. She's waiting for me to crumble. To make an excuse. To apologize for my own existence. I set my fork down. The clink of metal against porcelain, echoing in the sudden quiet. I meet my mother's gaze. It already happened, I say, my voice calm and even. I've been married for 8 months. The color drains from my mother's face. Confusion. Then disbelief. Then pure, unadulterated rage. Liar? She hisses, her hand slamming the table. You eloped. Didn't you? To embarrass us? I didn't elope. I say, my voice still level. I sent invitations. To everyone. The chaos I expected erupts. My father accuses me of lying to sabotage Taylor's engagement party. Taylor's eyes fill with practiced tears. Calling me jealous and pathetic. They don't remember. Or they're pretending not to. The architect in me, the part of me that sees systems and structures, understands, with sudden, chilling clarity. They aren't just forgetting. They are actively erasing. You're a liar. My mother screams. Her face contorted. We never received anything. Why wouldn't you call? My father demands. His voice booming across the polished mahogany table. If you cared at all, you would have picked up the phone. You always have to make everything about you. Don't you? Madison Taylor crees, clutching Brandon's arm. You couldn't stand that I was having a beautiful wedding. So you had to invent this insane story. The accusations fly like shrapnel. But I don't flinch. I let them exhaust their initial volley of rage. Their desperate attempts to rewrite reality. Then, when a fragile silence falls, I speak. My voice is low, but it cuts through the tension. Do you know what the worst part of it was? I ask, looking from my mother's furious face to my father's disappointed one. It wasn't the silence. It was the 2 empty chairs. I described the day of my wedding. The small, beautiful vineyard Dylan and I found, the 150 guests who flew in from all over the country, his family, who welcomed me with open arms, and the 2 chairs in the front row, I tell them how I bought special fabric for them, a silk brocade in my mother's favorite shade of blue. How I spent hours hand-painting small wooden signs that said Mother of the Bride and Father of the Bride. I tell them how I decorated them with wildflowers because my mother once told me, years ago, that she loved them. I tell them how I stood with my own wedding planner, making sure the light would hit them just right. I describe the humiliation of the ceremony being delayed, the pitying looks from Dylan's family, the whispers. And I tell them about the moment I finally had to accept they weren't coming. The moment I had to ask the staff to take the chairs away, because I couldn't stand to look at them anymore. I couldn't stand to see that empty space where my family was supposed to be. My words hang in the air. Jessica, the wedding planner, has tears in her eyes. Kevin Dalton looks down at his plate, his jaw tight. Avon Brandon looks shaken. For a moment, my mother looks stunned. But then Taylor, my golden child sister, sees her opening. She stands, her own tears now flowing freely. Fine. She sobs. I did it. I hid the invitations. My mother gasps. But Taylor plows on, reframing her cruelty as a heroic act. I did it to protect you, she cries, looking at our parents. To protect this family. That wedding sounded so subpar. A barn in the middle of nowhere. You would have been embarrassed. I couldn't let Madison's poor taste reflect on all of us. I was just trying to protect our family's reputation. I watch, almost impressed, as she twists the narrative. Malice becomes protection. Sabotage becomes love. And I see the flicker of relief in my parents' eyes. They have their excuse. They have their out. And in that moment, I know, raw emotion is a language they don't speak. Logic and evidence are all they'll ever understand. I stand up from the table, my movement calm and deliberate. The sudden action silences the room. I walk away from the dining table, my heels clicking on the imported slate floors, and head toward the adjoining living area where an 85-inch smart television is mounted above the fireplace, currently displaying a serene, looping video of a snowy forest. Madison, sit down, my mother commands, her voice regaining its familiar, authoritative edge. We are not done here. We are, I say, not looking back. We're just changing the venue. I stop in front of the massive screen, my back to them. I feel their eyes on me, a mixture of confusion and anger. I designed the smart systems in this house. You know, my voice is conversational, almost light. Right after I graduated with my master's in user experience architecture, Dad hired me, paid me an exposure and a family discount, which meant I basically worked for free. I installed every camera, every server, every single user interface you interact with every day. What does that have to do with anything? My father grumbles. Everything, I say, under the table. My husband Dylan's number was already on my phone. All I had to do was send a single word, now. He's a cybersecurity consultant for a major firm. He protects multi-billion-dollar companies from hostile takeovers. My family's home network didn't stand a chance. The snowy forest on the screen flickers and dies, replaced by a simple computer desktop. What are you doing? Taylor asks, her voice sharp with alarm. Remotely accessing the main server. I reply, still facing the screen. The admin password was never changed. Even though I sent 3 separate emails reminding you of the security risk, my credentials are still valid. I am still, legally, the system administrator. Therefore, my husband accessing it on my behalf is perfectly legal. The cursor on the screen moves on its own, gliding over to a folder on the desktop. Dylan, thousands of miles away, is my digital ghost. I turn to face them. My expression, unreadable. In my profession, we study systems. We analyze how users interact with them, identify pain points, and redesign them for better functionality. For years, I thought the user was me. I thought I was the one who couldn't figure out the system. But I was wrong. The system itself is fundamentally broken. It's a classic narcissistic family structure. One child is designated the golden child. She can do no wrong. Her successes are the family's successes. Her failures are ignored or blamed on others. She is the center of the universe. I look directly at Taylor, whose face has gone pale. Then, you have the scapegoat. I gesture to myself. The scapegoat is the problem. She's the cause of all the family's stress. The source of all conflict. She exists to absorb the family's dysfunction. To be the villain in the story they tell themselves. Their perfect family would be perfect. If not for her. The cursor on the screen hovers over the folder. It's labeled in stark, simple text, Project Demolition. And tonight, I'm finally decommissioning this broken system. I turn back to the screen. The room is so quiet I can hear the hum of the refrigerator from the kitchen. Dylan's cursor clicks open the folder. Let's begin with the first piece of unshakable evidence. I announce. My voice is cold and clear as the winter air outside. The first image that appears is a high-resolution scan of a FedEx receipt. Date February 12th. Time 10:15. Signed for by Taylor. Her signature. Alupi. Arrogant scrawl I've known my whole life. Is perfectly clear, Taylor scoffs. Recovering quickly. So, what I sign for packages all the time. Mom and Dad get dozens of deliveries. That proves nothing. She's right. It's circumstantial. I concede. Which brings us to the second piece of evidence. The image on the screen changes. It's now a screenshot of our mother's email account settings. A specific page filters. There, at the top of the list, is a rule. I read it aloud for them. If a message is from Madison and contains the words wedding, invitation, or Dylan, then mark as read. Skip the inbox. And permanently delete. My mother gasps. I never made that rule. Of course you didn't. I say. But this filter was created on February 14th. 2 days after the invitations were delivered. It was created from an IP address that resolves to this house. Specifically, to Taylor's phone. I was just trying to reduce Mom's email clutter. Taylor stammers. Her eyes wide with panic. She gets so overwhelmed. Brandon, her fiancé, is staring at her. His expression, hardening. You filtered out her own daughter's wedding emails, he asks. His voice dangerously low. The screen changes again. Now it shows a sent email. One that appears to have come from my own address. It's dated a week after the invitations arrived. It's addressed to my mother and father. Subject wedding cancelled. The body of the email is short. Claiming that Dylan and I had a fight and called the whole thing off. A classic spoofed email. I explain. Easy to do if you know what you're doing. Hard to trace. Unless you have a cybersecurity expert for a husband who can pull the raw header data and find the originating server. A server located at Taylor's favorite coffee shop downtown. The final piece of evidence is the one I've been waiting for. I nod slightly. A silent signal to Dylan. The screen goes black. Then fills with crystal clear video footage. It's from the camera above the front door. The one I installed myself. The timestamp reads February 12th. 10:14 a.m. The FedEx truck is visible in the driveway. We watch as Taylor, dressed in workout clothes, answers the door, smiles, and signs for the package. She closes the door, looks down at the return address, and her face changes. The smile vanishes, replaced by a sneer of pure rage. She doesn't even hesitate. She walks directly to the recycling bin at the side of the porch, lifts the lid, and throws the entire package inside with a gesture of violent disgust. She slams the lid shut, wipes her hands on her pants as if she's touched something dirty, and walks back inside. The video ends. Silence. Utter, complete, and devastating silence. The video loop ends, leaving the image of Taylor's furious face frozen on the 85-inch screen. The silence in the dining room is a living thing, heavy and suffocating. Brandon is the first to move. He stands up so slowly it looks painful, his eyes never leaving Taylor. He pulls the massive diamond ring from her finger. It's not a question. It's not a dramatic gesture. It's a final, quiet act of severance. He places the ring on the table next to her plate, where it sits like a tiny, glittering tombstone. Brandon, Taylor whispers, her voice cracking. Her entire future is evaporating right in front of her. I cannot marry you, he says, his voice devoid of emotion. I thought I was marrying a partner, not a saboteur, not a monster. His father, Kevin Dalton, Rises. Next. He looks at my father. Mark. His expression one of profound disappointment. Mark, he says. And his voice carries the weight of a 30-year business relationship. The $100 million merger we were set to sign next month. It's off. My father's face goes ashen. He looks like he's been punched. Kevin. Wait. He sputters. We can't let a family squabble interfere with this deal. This wasn't just a squabble. Mark. Kevin's voice is ice. Let me be perfectly clear. The entire valuation of that merger, the very reason Sterling Group was interested, was contingent on bringing your daughter's talent into our company. He looks at me. Not Taylor. Me. We've been trying to hire Madison for 2 years. Her work in user experience architecture is legendary. We thought this merger was the only way to get her. She was the asset. Mark. Not your outdated company. Without her, you have nothing we want. The unwitting asset. The twist is so perfect, it's almost poetic. I'll make sure you never work again. I almost feel sorry for her. Almost. No. You won't. I say calmly. She laughs. A high, hysterical sound. Watch me. I know you've been recording tonight's dinner. I continue. My voice steady. But that recording is inadmissible. This state has 2-party consent laws for audio recording. So, your little video of our conversation stays private. A flicker of triumph crosses her face. She thinks she's found a loophole. However, I let the word hang in the air. The CCTV footage of you taking possession of a FedEx package and immediately disposing of it is perfectly legal evidence of a federal crime. Mail tampering. Title 18. United States Code. Section 17. Host. It carries a penalty of up to 5 years in federal prison and a $250,000 fine. The color drains from her face. If one single negative post about me or Dylan appears anywhere online, I say, that footage goes directly to the U.S. Postal Inspection Service. I wonder what your brand sponsors will think of that. Checkmate. She collapses into her chair. A broken, whimpering mess. I don't stay to watch the fallout. I turn my back on the wreckage of their lives, the broken engagement, the cancelled merger, the impending financial ruin, and I walk away. My mother calls my name, her voice thin and desperate. Madison. Wait, we can fix this. But there is nothing left to fix. The system wasn't broken, it was designed this way. And I'm simply walking out of the building. I walk through the grand foyer, past the portraits of a happy family that never really was, and out the massive front doors into the clean, cold night. My husband, Dylan, is waiting for me in a car at the end of the long, winding driveway. He doesn't ask questions. He just opens the door for me. And as we drive away, I don't look back. Days later, a package arrives. An overnight courier. Inside, nestled in a corporate envelope bearing my father's company logo, is a check for $100,000. The memo line is blank. There's a short, typed note. For your silence. I look at the number. The zeros stretching out like a line of desperate, pleading hands. Hush money. A final, pathetic attempt to control the narrative. To buy my compliance. There was a time in my life when that money would have been a lifeline. A time when I craved any kind of acknowledgement from him. Even this transactional, cowardly kind. But that version of me died in that dining room. She was the one who saved them 2 empty chairs at her wedding. She's gone now. I take the check into my kitchen. I tear it in half. Then into quarters. Then into tiny, worthless pieces of confetti. I arrange the pieces on my granite countertop. Take a clear photo with my phone. And open the family group chat for the very last time.